She ruined my wedding, hijacked my birthday, and still thinks I'm the problem, but this time, I finally fought back. I, 29F, got married 3 months ago. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, and it was, for about 5 hours. Then it turned into something I still can't talk about without feeling like I'm going to cry or throw up. The person at the center of the chaos wasn't my husband. It wasn't even someone from his side. It was my older sister, Claire, 32F. Claire and I have always had a weird relationship. We were never enemies, but we were never exactly close either. She's loud, commanding, the center of every room. I've always been quieter, more reserved. When we were growing up, our parents, especially our mom, treated Claire like a golden girl. She was the first to graduate college, the first to move out, the first to get a big job in the city. Everything she did was a big deal. I got used to being compared. Why don't you speak up more like Claire? Claire would never settle for a job like that. Are you sure you're happy, honey? Claire wouldn't be. When I got engaged to my now husband, James, I was honestly nervous about telling Claire. She's never outright said she disapproves of James, but she's made plenty of subtle comments over the years. That he's too quiet, too plain. Or, and this one still stings, not ambitious enough. Because he's a high school teacher and not some finance bro. Still, she agreed to be my maid of honor. I thought maybe this could be a turning point. A way for us to connect. I imagined wedding dress shopping, late-night planning sessions, her tearing up during her speech. I even asked her to help me write my vows. For a while, things seemed okay. But there were signs I ignored. She kept showing up late to planning meetings. She rolled her eyes when I picked the venue. She called my dress sweet, not beautiful, not elegant, just sweet. When I asked her about organizing the bachelorette party, she said she was too busy and pawned it off on my friend Lily. Then came the big one. 2 weeks before the wedding, Claire told me she was bringing a +1. That wasn't the issue. The issue was that it was my ex-boyfriend, Mark. Yes, Mark. The guy I dated for 4 years. The one who cheated on me with his coworker and humiliated me in front of half our college friends. Claire stayed friends with him. Because he was in her circle. And insisted it was never personal. When I asked her why of all people she would bring him to my wedding, she just shrugged and said, "It's not about you. He's fun, and we're adults. You're with James now. Get over it." I told her no. Absolutely not. I didn't want him there. She said, "If I'm not allowed to bring who I want, maybe I shouldn't be there at all." I thought she was bluffing. She wasn't. She showed up, without Mark, but cold, distant, and with an attitude that could chill the whole venue. She didn't help me get dressed, didn't talk to me before the ceremony, didn't smile in any of the photos. During the reception, she sat in the back and drank too much. And then, during her maid of honor speech, she stood up, raised her glass, and said, "Some people rush into love because they're scared of being alone. But hey, I guess settling is still a form of happiness. Cheers." The room went dead silent. James looked like someone had slapped him. I laughed, nervously, and tried to wave it off, but the mood never recovered. Half the guests left early. My mom tried to defend Claire. James's parents were horrified. And Claire? She got in an Uber and left before dessert was served. I haven't spoken to her since. That was 3 months ago. There's so much more to tell, how my mom got involved, what Claire texted me afterward, and the fallout with the rest of the family. The morning after the wedding, I woke up in a hotel room with James still in my silk robe, eyes raw from crying. There were a dozen missed calls from my mom. I didn't want to talk to anyone, but James gently nudged me. "You should call her. Maybe she'll apologize on Claire's behalf." But when I picked up, Mom didn't sound sorry. She sounded angry, at me. "You embarrassed Claire," she said flatly. I blinked, stunned. I embarrassed her? At my own wedding? She was upset you wouldn't let her bring a friend. You humiliated her in front of everyone by freezing her out. What did you expect her to do, sit there and smile like everything was fine? I sat in silence. I was shaking. I asked Mom, "Did you hear what she said in the speech?" She was being honest. Maybe not tactful, but honest. James was sitting beside me, listening. His jaw tightened. I felt my stomach drop. I tried to defend myself. She insulted both of us, Mom. She sabotaged the happiest day of my life. And then Mom hit me with this gem. Well, maybe if you were a little less sensitive, you'd have more friends like Claire. She's just trying to help you face reality. I hung up. That was the moment it really sank in. My mom wasn't neutral. She was siding with Claire, completely, without hesitation. Later that week, Claire finally sent me a message. It was 2 lines long. Sorry you felt offended. I guess I thought you were stronger than that. Congrats again. No accountability. No explanation. No real apology. I didn't reply. Over the next few weeks, I heard from extended family. A few cousins said Claire had been in a weird place lately, and that I should try to take the high road. An aunt messaged me saying, "She's your sister. You only get one. Don't throw that away over one comment." But it wasn't just one comment. It was a slow, constant erosion of respect, masked as sisterly teasing. It was a lifetime of being the shadow behind Claire's spotlight. And finally, it was public humiliation during the most vulnerable, joyful moment of my life. I started therapy. I needed someone objective to tell me I wasn't crazy. And my therapist said something that stuck. When someone spends their whole life chipping away at your worth, even a small comment can feel like a wrecking ball. That's not oversensitivity, that's survival. James, bless him, has been a rock. He told me we can go full no contact. That he doesn't want our future children exposed to that kind of energy. But I'm still torn. Because no matter how hurt I am, no matter how justified I feel, part of me still hears Mom's voice. She's your sister. You only get one. What do I do with that? I wasn't going to do anything for my birthday this year. After the wedding disaster, the idea of celebrating felt hollow. But James convinced me to have something small, dinner with close friends and family at our favorite Italian place. Just 10 people. Casual. Safe. I didn't invite Claire. I didn't invite my mom either. I couldn't. I wasn't ready. But 2 nights before the dinner, my dad called. Now, my dad and I have always had a bit of a strained relationship. He's a quiet man, more of a background figure in our family. Growing up, he let my mom and Claire dominate conversations, and I learned early not to expect much emotional support from him. But he was never cruel, just distant. So when he called, I answered. He said, "I heard about the dinner. I'd like to come." I paused. "It's just a small thing, Dad. I don't want any drama." "I know," he said, "and I promise I'll behave." That word, behave, should have been a red flag. The dinner started out beautifully. I was genuinely happy. For a couple hours, I felt normal again. Lily, my best friend and unofficial maid of honor, gave a hilarious toast. James held my hand under the table the whole time. The food was incredible. The cake was perfect. And then Claire walked in. Wearing a skin-tight red dress like she was stepping onto a runway, not into a restaurant full of people who watched her verbally shiv me on my wedding night. I froze. The table fell silent. You could hear forks clink as people stopped mid-bite. James muttered, "You've got to be kidding me." Claire beamed. "Surprise!" I looked straight at my dad. He wouldn't meet my eyes. She walked over and kissed me on the cheek like nothing had ever happened. I stood up. "What is she doing here?" Claire blinked, feigning innocence. "Dad said you wanted me here." I turned back to my dad, voice shaking. Did you really invite her behind my back? He finally looked at me, and his face was full of guilt, but not regret. She's your sister, he said softly, like that explained everything. I grabbed my purse. James followed without a word. Lily stood too and said, Let's go. I'm not sitting through this. We left. Just walked out of my own birthday. Later that night I got text from Claire. You really walked out? Wow. So much for family. You're letting James isolate you. You're changing. This isn't who you used to be. You need help. Seriously. I didn't reply. I blocked her number instead. I also didn't speak to my dad for over a month. He kept texting, trying to defend himself, saying he was just trying to fix things. But I told him the truth. What he did wasn't fixing anything, it was enabling. It was choosing comfort over accountability. And I was done with that. But part of me still wonders, did I overreact? Should I have stayed and let it roll off my back? Is there a point where holding boundaries just becomes bitterness? About 6 weeks after the birthday dinner disaster, I was finally starting to breathe again. Therapy was helping. James and I had set clear boundaries with my family. I felt, not happy exactly, but grounded. Then my mom called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Please, just talk to me. We need to fix this before it's too late. I didn't know what too late meant, and honestly, I wasn't sure I cared. I hadn't spoken to her since she defended Claire after the wedding. But something in her voice sounded different. So I called back. She jumped straight into it. No pleasantries. We're hosting Thanksgiving this year. And we want everyone there. That includes you and James. And Claire. My stomach twisted. I'm not coming if Claire's there, I said immediately. I've made that clear. She sighed dramatically. You're being unfair. She wants to apologize. Oh, really? Is that what she said after she ambushed my birthday and called me mentally unstable? She was just trying to help. She's worried about you. We all are. That did it, I said. You don't get to gaslight me into thinking I'm the problem here. I've been nothing but clear, and you've all chosen to ignore me. Then came the ultimatum. If you don't come, you're not welcome for Christmas either. We're done with this drama. I just sat there stunned. I could barely speak. You're choosing her again, I finally said. My mom replied. No. I'm choosing family. You should try it sometime. I hung up. A week later, I got a formal email, yes, an email, from my parents saying they were taking a step back from our relationship until I was ready to engage in healthy dialogue. James read it with me. Then he said something that shook me. If we have kids, I don't want them around these people. Ever. It hit me like a truck. Because that's what this is really about, isn't it? Not just me and Claire and a wedding speech. It's about the future. What kind of family we're building. What kind of pain I'm willing to keep carrying. Still, it hurts. It's your family. You're taught your whole life to love them, forgive them, prioritize them. But what happens when they don't do the same for you? What happens when you're the only one asked to compromise? 2 weeks before Christmas, I sat down at our kitchen table, a cup of lukewarm tea beside me, half-finished laundry in the corner, the silence between me and my family still weighing on my chest like a brick. James was out, giving me space. He knew I needed it. And for the first time in months, I opened a blank document on my laptop and started writing a letter. Not an email. Not a text. A letter, to my parents, to Claire, to everyone who kept telling me I was the problem when all I ever asked for was basic respect. It started with the truth. This isn't about a wedding speech. It's not about a single day or a few words. It's about years of being cast as difficult just because I ask for boundaries. It's about never being allowed to have pain without being told it makes me selfish. It's about being left to clean up emotional messes that weren't mine, again and again, while the people who made them were praised for keeping the peace. I wrote that I wasn't angry anymore. I was tired. Tired of chasing approval. Tired of begging for empathy. Tired of being told I should tolerate disrespect for the sake of appearances. You've made it clear that if I don't conform to what you think family should look like, I'm not welcome. So I'm stepping away. Not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't cruel. It was the cleanest truth I'd ever written. I printed it out. Folded it. Sealed it in 3 envelopes. One for my parents, one for Claire, and one I kept for myself. Just in case I ever started to doubt what had happened. I mailed them the next day. Christmas came and went in quiet. James and I stayed home. We watched movies, baked cookies, cried a little. He held me while I read old childhood holiday cards and realized how far we'd all drifted. And then, in January, something happened I didn't expect. A letter arrived. From Claire. Not a long one. Just a single page, handwritten, shaky in parts. But the words? I don't think I ever realized how much I hurt you. I was so focused on fixing you that I didn't notice I was making things worse. I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me now. But I needed you to know that I finally see it. I read it 5 times. Then I cried harder than I had since the wedding. Because it wasn't perfect. It didn't undo everything. But it was the first time, in years, someone in my family had seen me without dismissing me. I haven't responded yet. I don't know if I will. Healing doesn't always mean reconciliation. But for the first time, I'm not clinging to a fantasy of how things should be. I'm living in what they are. And maybe, just maybe, that's what real peace looks like. TLDR, after years of being undermined by my sister and dismissed by my family, I finally stood my ground. It cost me holiday invitations and emotional closeness, but it gave me clarity. And for the first time, someone in my family might actually be listening.